Hey guys, how's it going? So today I'm going to talk about a bit what it is that I do. I'm a builder and a designer. I'm definitely an artist. It's kind of hard to say that sometimes because everyone's an artist these days, but I am. But pretty much what I specialize in really is I specialize in building and designing stuff. It's honestly been my passion. I absolutely love it. Um, I've done everything from stage sets to props. I also am a lighting technician, so I do the big concerts that you see, all those lights that are up there, the flashing and stuff. Yeah, I do that. And you've probably been to quite a few of the events that I've done. As well as I do programming, and then on the design aspect, I do 3D modeling and stuff like that. For example, here's one that I made. It's a 3D model of a skull. It's kind of hard to see. There it is. You can see that. But yeah, I do stuff like that. I mean, it's super cool with LED lights in it. I mean, I love LEDs. I think it's the way to go. It beats conventional. I mean, conventional lights are still great and they're still beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Um, but yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of talk a bit about it. I mean, honestly, I started off working for other companies and jumping around from place to place, from job to job, and I learned a lot in the process. I had a hard time sticking to jobs because I didn't like working for other people, and I know most of you guys are probably the same way. I mean, who likes working for someone else? Unless it's a job that you really like, then hey, all the kudos to you. But so I started off, pretty much working for other people. I learned a lot of trades, and I went to a lot of different schools and stuff, trade schools. And nothing was really working out for me. So on the side, I started picking up my own work here and there. I started building some things, and mainly I started with wood. I had a bunch of wood tools and stuff like that. So I think it started. I wanted to furnish my apartment, so I built a table, and then the table led to a bench, and the bench led to outdoor patio set, and then the outdoor patio set led to. Um, and then so I started moving on that, and then during the whole time I was still in the entertainment industry. I was still doing shows and concerts and all that stuff. So I was building stage props, and I had a lot of skills under my belt, but I wasn't utilizing them. Sorry, the door keeps opening because it's raining. There's a huge storm coming through apparently, but I wasn't utilizing the skills that I had available to me, and it was kind of a shame. I mean, I was using them on the job, but I was only getting paid my wage. I wasn't getting paid as a business owner. I wanted to cut out the middleman. Is really what I wanted to do. I didn't want to have to go through a corporation in order to get my paycheck. And also, I didn't want to work for other people because some bosses are dicks. I mean, I'm sure they don't mean to be, but a lot of times, they have a lot on their heads that a lot resting on their shoulders, and so at the end of the day, they kind of have to crack the whip, which I understand, and I've done it too, and I definitely been a little harsh on some of the guys that work under me. But point being is, I didn't see myself in that field forever. I mean, I love the work that I do, I really do, but I wanted to branch out, and I wanted to see what I could create on my own. So I started my own company. It's called Norton Novelcraft. It's been doing fairly well. It's its first year, so I have taken a bit of a loss on it. But that's kind of the hardest part about this whole thing, is like, it's really easy to go to work, to show up on time, to do your job, and get a paycheck. It's not so easy starting your own company. I mean, some people fall right into it and they do a great job, but let's be real. The average person, You're going to spend a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of confusion. There is a lot of confusion about it. Everything has to be legit with the state, um, and a whole bunch of other things in terms of distribution, in terms of hiring people on, even getting your own place. Like, so I have this warehouse, which has been fantastic, and I couldn't be doing what I'm doing now without it. I started off, like I said, I was building out of my garage in my apartment, and they hated it. I mean, I would literally go in there until 3, 4 in the morning running my saws in a gated community apartment complex, and it was just like, nope, they did not like it, and I wouldn't stop. Like, literally, I couldn't stop until they legitimately kicked me out. So at that point, it was kind of funny because I had about 6 months before my lease was up, so I knew a changeover was going to happen. I didn't stop actually working in my garage until about 2 months before the lease was over. So I was in there the entire time, still cranking out projects, um, still kind of honing my skills and seeing what I was made of. And so come that time, 6 months turned into 4 months, into 2 months, and um, I actually wasn't focusing on getting another place. That wasn't my main concern. My main concern was, where can I have a shop, right? So I was on Craigslist. I mean, I was talking to everyone, just, hey, I need a place to work. What can you do? And because I was, at the time, I was a little bit younger. I mean, I'm still pretty young, but I was a little bit younger then, obviously, a couple years ago. And so, that was my first priority. Find a warehouse, find a shop, find a garage, find somewhere where I could put my tools. And mind you, at that time, I had started accumulating tools. So it was no longer, I was no longer, just your clothes and your stuff. Like, I legitimately needed a place to work. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Um, Still what I want to do, obviously. But point being is, 6 months turned into 4, turned into 2, and I still hadn't found a place. I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do? I not only hadn't found a place for me to even store my stuff, and I tried everything, man. Like, oh, I gotta plug you in. But I tried everything. Like, literally, I tried to go to storage units, and it was a no-go. They don't want you working in there. I tried to rent out people's garages. No, not happening. I literally looked everywhere, and it literally wasn't until 2 weeks before my deadline was up that I knew I had to move, um, that I found this place. And this place was honestly a diamond in the rough. It was, a little beaten up and shabby, and it still kind of is, but um, what ended up happening was I found a guy on Craigslist, Will, really, really good friend of mine now, um, and he was subleasing part of the warehouse. That's scary. Yeah, it's the wind. So he was leasing from this side of the warehouse all the way down to the gate, and I was like, let's do this. Like, I just need a place, and this is awesome. It's a warehouse. It's kind of what I'm looking for. Like I said, it was pretty shabby in the beginning. And there's Hoy. She's walking over. She's our in-shop dog. Anyway, so like I said, it was pretty shabby. A lot of cleaning up had to do. But I was able to move in, which was all that mattered to me. So in the meantime, the lease came around. I moved in 2 days before the 30th, or before the 1st. And I had all that secured, but I had nowhere to live. I didn't know what to do, and shit was getting real, like, now I'm worried, like, fuck, where am I going to sleep at night? How am I going to take a shower? How am I going to wash my clothes? And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I can ask my friends, and I was like, no, I can't do that, and everywhere was really far. So at the time I lived in Foothill Ranch, which is down by Irvine, and this warehouse is in Buena Park, but I worked in Los Angeles, so I was driving almost 3-4 hours a day. There she goes. Almost 3-4 hours a day just to get to work in Los Angeles, or wherever the show was at the time. Most of my jobs are in Los Angeles. Point being is, I had nowhere to sleep, so I did the hotel thing. Yep, it was expensive and it sucked. And so the first week I was in a pretty decent hotel. Actually, it wasn't too bad. The problem though was about $175 a night, and I was like, fuck, man, after a week, dude, that's just way too damn expensive. Um, so, I mean, I was still going to work and everything like that. And I wasn't really working in here at the time. I was really busy with work, trying to pay for the fucking hotel. Um, so after that, I went to another hotel, and it was actually right across the street. Um, and it was the dumpiest hotel you've ever been in. It was just horrible. I got sick in there, and anyway, so I was there for another week. It was $55 a night, and that was still too damn expensive. It was just too much. So when all was said and done, I mean, I spent a couple $1,000s. It was, nope, didn't want to do that. So finally, I was on Craigslist, and I found this place. I found a room, and I literally 5 minutes in, the place looked like shit. in all honesty, the guys were kind of weird. I mean, it was Craigslist. Let's be real. And it was 5 minutes away from the warehouse, and I was like, okay, so let's do this, right? So I moved in, and I was there for about 8 months. I hated it, man. It was just the shittiest situation, and the fucking people were weird, and oh man, it was just problem after problem. But it allowed me to be close to my warehouse, and that's all that mattered to me. All that mattered to me. That's all I cared about. So not only was I working, but now I was actually working for myself. I wasn't a legit company at the time. I'm actually still in the process of being 100% legit. That's another thing. When you start a business, it's difficult to be legit. It's difficult to be incorporated and all that. Um, Insurance is retardedly expensive. I mean, there's just a whole list of problems with it. But point being is I was there for about 8 months. I was still doing my job. I was still traveling for work. I was still doing shows, all this and that and the other. Um, but I had this place. This was my sanctuary, and it was small at the time. So I, I did that for a while, and then eventually it came to a point where I got in a fight with, I guess, the landlord or the guy who owned the house. He was I left a light on in my room, and he went into my room to turn it off, and then he sent me a really nasty text message saying something about the light being on, and I went in your room and I turned it off. And I kind of looked at it, and I said, well, what are you doing in my room? I had left for 30 minutes. If you want me to pay this month's electrical bill, I'll do it. And he said, I think you need to find a new place to live, and I said, I think you're right. So we moved out. I honestly didn't want to be there, and it was just, that just pushed me over the edge. I was there way longer than I should have been. So at that time, I didn't know what to do. I knew that I needed another place to live, and I knew that my business was growing, and I was getting stronger at what I was doing, and I was getting more jobs. I was getting more creative, and I was building more things. And so then it happened. Yep, I moved into my warehouse. So I moved into the warehouse. I'm in the process of actually taking over the lease. Will is still going to rent a spot for me, but now I have the whole place to myself. So, and in all honesty, I went through dozens. Like, I mean, every day I was just on it hard looking for a shop, a warehouse, anything. And I went to literally dozens, just like 24 some odd warehouses from 24 different realtors and all this and that, and I couldn't get approved for a single one because I had no credit and I had no history of a job. I mean, I have a job, obviously, but I had no history of my company. I couldn't, every time I showed them the paperwork and said, this is what I do, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to be, no one took me seriously. It was like, well, you're not in business, you're not a legitimate company. Yeah, we can't really do much for you. Oh, and by the way, you don't have any credit, so see ya. And I was just like, fuck, man, it was really difficult. So, over that course of the year and a half that I've been here, I've been working on my credit, and I bumped it up substantially. I made a couple purchases, like I got a truck, and I was able to bump up my credit quite substantially. And then during that time, when I was renting here, I was really focusing on getting right with the state for my business, getting my business up and going. So, went and got a name, paid for all that, went and got insurance, paid for all that, sales permit, paid for all that, right? You actually don't need to pay for your sales permit because the government just wants money. Funny story. But point being is I went through and I did all that. And so now I'm at the point where I'm about to take over the lease. And I was kind of shoot in. I mean, even though the realtor that owns this place, she was really weary of giving it to me to begin with. So I had to really, get down on both knees and be like, hey, I am legit. I'm more serious than anyone else in this building. I guarantee you that. I'm more dedicated, and I'm more in love with my passion and my craft, and I have these skills, and I have this rapport with my clients, and give me a shot, let me prove it to you. So I got real lucky with that. But point being is that's kind of my story, and so here I'm at now, waiting for the lease changeover. I gonna start remodeling this place. I'm gonna start making more videos, but Point being is, if you keep at it and you put your goals first, you're going to hit so many hurdles and you're going to fall and get scraped up. But persistence, and that's probably the hardest thing in this industry. It's the hardest thing in anyone's life, really, is persistence. You get beaten up a couple times and you get knocked down and thrown around, and you don't know what to do, and you don't want to continue, and you still need a paycheck, you still need to eat, you still need to pay for the kids' diapers and all that stuff, right? But persistence and really putting in the time. I took a lot of days off. I had shows booked left and right, literally 7 days a week. I mean, I would have been a millionaire. Not even kidding. Um, and I just started canceling them. I went from working 7 days a week to working 3 days a week to working 2 days a week because I was so passionate about creating and building my business. So I took the pay cuts. I literally, working in here, when I first started, I was making less than $5 an hour. I was barely breaking even. And even the jobs that I did with the clients I had, like, I was doing really incredible jobs on really high-end clients. And even they were trying to lowball me and, like, fuck me over. And a couple of them did. I'm a big old softy and pushover, so of course I cut discounts and all that stuff, but I never cut the quality of my work. I never have, and I never will. That meant more to me than anything, to show the quality of my work and show what I was capable of. If that meant taking money out of my own pocket, I did it. Because seeing the end product half-assed or cheaply done or lower budget, no, that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing it because I'm passionate about it and because I love doing it. So, point being is, persistence pays off. It's a long, hard road, and you never get over the fear of rejection, of loss. You never get comfortable. Everyone has this idea in their head: I would be so comfortable if I was in this position or if I was making this kind of money. When you're doing what you do, you have small windows of comfortability, and they go away. I mean, you never get comfortable, and you should never be comfortable, because if you get comfortable, you're complacent, and you're just gonna waste your life away being comfortable. I hate to say it, but I've found. I know there's probably a lot of people that are like, "You're an idiot." No, maybe I am. I don't know. Point being, though, is getting comfortable, I have found, is just a good way to get stuck in a trap. But I have found that you never really get comfortable, and the weight never comes off your shoulders. So I've learned to use that weight to my advantage and to keep me pushing, to keep me rolling, and to keep me going. Anyway, so that's my story. Hopefully, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave something in the comments below. I'm happy to answer any questions, anything that I missed out, but I want to be making more videos, and I want to show you guys the stuff that I build. I mean, I want to get my name out. Anyway, see you guys later. Have a good one. Stay out of the rain. It is pouring out right now, and my dog's scared shitless. So, alright, bye.